When the pandemic first hit Israel and the Palestinian territories, the United Nations praised their cooperation in dealing with a common threat. However, as Palestinians working in Israel have brought coronavirus back to the occupied West Bank, a political row has broken out that threatens to hit the economies on both sides and to undermine efforts to stop the spread of Covid-19. Well, here's our Middle East correspondent, Yolande Nell.
Before dawn, their watch begins. Palestinian security forces trying to stop workers going to Israel. They wouldn't do this normally, but these aren't normal times. We're doing this to protect our mothers, wives and children, the officer says. We have to control the spread of the virus. These men claim they're doing nothing wrong. But an inspection turns up Israeli work permits. The officers take their belongings and tell them they can collect them later. Then they try to catch up with 3 more men. But they're too late. They can't go any further. The path ahead is under full Israeli control. These workers are vital to the weak West Bank economy. So a deal was struck to allow tens of thousands to go to Israel, also on a strict lockdown, and to stay there. In this Israeli settlement, factory workers are sleeping in tents. They'll spend the holy month of Ramadan here to protect their jobs.
I want to keep my family, friends, and my town safe. That's why I chose to stay in my workplace. If I don't work, nobody will help me with even the basics. I can't express how hard this is. God help us. God help the workers.
But the workers haven't been able to avoid politics. Most coronavirus cases in the West Bank have been linked to those returning home. The Palestinian Authority has sharply criticised Israel for that, which Israel says is unfair.
Senior officials that are giving these remarks, they're just misleading and even encouraging incitement, I'd say, in the Palestinian people. We've been doing really a joint effort together to cope with this virus, and it's a common enemy.
Some Palestinians have stayed in Israel, but others are coming home for Ramadan. And they're checked for signs of the coronavirus. Zahid has a fever, so he's tested on the spot. He's worried about infection. What can I do? My financial situation is really bad. I need to work to earn money, he says. 10 relatives rely on him. Now he's told to self-isolate for 2 weeks. The desperation of the workers to return to their jobs, even during a pandemic, has underlined the economic reliance of the Palestinians on Israel. And in their decades-old conflict, that's a sore point. Yolande Nell, BBC News.
Well, let's stay in the region, this time focusing on Arab doctors working in Israel and who've become the foot soldiers in the fight against coronavirus there. Now, even though Arabs make up only 20% of Israel's population, they are disproportionately represented in the medical community. Arabs make up half of Israel's pharmacists, a quarter of its nurses, and just under a fifth of its doctors. The country's leading virologist is also Arab. And in this article, the Financial Times reported that education is often seen as a way of pushing back against political marginalisation, which is why many Arabs have chosen a career in medicine. Meanwhile, the Washington Post calls Israel's hospitals one of the few cultural crossroads in Israel where anyone from Jewish settlers to Palestinian activists can receive treatment without discrimination. There's evidence that the pandemic has brought about a greater sense of caring. This is a video which has gone viral. It shows doctors and nurses in Israel who then remove their masks to reveal Arab faces and head coverings. It was put together by a Jewish human rights activist. And that's one particular narrative. Another one playing out is this. Just have a look at the headline in the Israeli newspaper Haaretz Arab. It says Israelis fight coronavirus as first-class doctors but second-class citizens. Well.